Hey, what's up guys, Nine Toes here, and I'm back once again with another live gameplay commentary here on some Minecraft Tekkit. And today I want to cover with you some crossbreeding plants, tips, tricks, fundamentals, basics, whatever you want to call it. A couple things before I basically start and get into this real quickly. I know that there's a lot of us that of course are going to be watching this and tuning in for the reason of I want to learn how to basically make hops so that I can make beer. Got it. And that's something that I will be covering here with you guys as well too, as I've done it. Want to say on record first and foremost that as of the date that I'm of course uploading this, I've got about a week into compiling all this information and actually doing it, getting hands on, and of course, planting and all the different questions and how to do this and how to do that, because I definitely, when I first started, I had a lot of frustration. So what I'm essentially trying to do is combine all of the information that it's out there, whether it be the wiki, forums, Reddit, you name it. I'm going to try to basically compile everything that I've learned basically into one video. So try to bear with me, as it is a lot of information to cover, and I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I possibly can. So whatever, once again, your motivations are to obviously do this, the cool thing is that even if you're an admin or an op in a server, it's not like you can spawn in, for example, the hops plant. You can, of course, spawn in hops, but if you want to do this legit, and or you have EE or the equivalent exchange disabled on your server, and you want a way, for example, to get sticky resin, better than rubber trees with stick reeds, which is very, very, very possible. And it's true. It's actually a better way to get sticky resin. Hops, once again, obviously to brew your beer. Whatever your motivations are, as an example, to be able to do this, I want to, like I said, kind of condense this into one, easy to follow in, video format, as of course you watch me do it. So first of all, you'll see my hotbar. I've got to get started. I'm assuming that you gotten absolutely nothing started, to begin with. The one thing you're going to want to do, and I'm not going to bore you with, of course, the crafting, because it's, the crops, themselves, which really should be called crop sticks, because that's really what they are. It's just, sticks of wood. Stick them obviously in a crafting table, consult with the wiki or any not enough items, right in Tekkit, of course, to get the crafting recipe. I'm not going to bore you with that stuff, since it's pretty, easy stuff, but obviously make yourself a boatload of these, or as much as you possibly can. If you're just starting out, you're going to obviously want to have a couple of them. I'm not going to have any fertilizer with me on hand or anything else, just to kind of get started. But I'm assuming you are, let's say for example, day 2, day 3 into the game, as you've set up a little base, and now you want to kind of get some stuff going. Yeah, you can do little stuff like this, as I of course whip out my hoe, insert joke here, and I'm aware that you can grab seeds from that grass, or you can get dandelions or the roses that are in my hands from anywhere. If you put them down, yeah, great, they're growing, but again, once I come into, for example, harvest them, they're done. I mean, I can't do anything with them. And this is going to be the same, for example, even with the wheat seeds, or just regular seeds that you would use for wheat as well too. So if you want, for example, an endless supply of wheat, and of course I'll get into how to harvest, etc., in just a moment. But here's to get you started. Find yourself a water source. So I've got obviously dirt in my hand. I'm going to do a simple 2x2 configuration, and assuming once again that you just recently spawned into a world, or you just heard about this yesterday or earlier today, on how to get started, because you tried and you're frustrated and all you're getting is weeds. So let's look at this. We're obviously surrounded by water. Of course, the 2x2 dirt configuration. Again, what you're going to want to do, you see this before with doing anything else, is till the tops of your blocks here, just as I have here, and what you're going to want to do is, let's start with, for example, roses, and what the heck, we'll just go ahead and put down dandelions. So now these two plants, since they're already at maturity, because I picked them at maturity, since they're just vanilla plants, I don't need for them to obviously mature and grow up, because I didn't plant seeds. I actually planted the plants. So to crossbreed, what I want to do is I want to cross the red rose with the yellow dandelions. I'm going to put a crop here next to it, and a second one for the cross, vertical then horizontal. You see that? So what I'll do is on the other side is I'm going to do the exact same thing. The idea, the theory behind this is once again, now that, you know, those two plants, the parent plants, are mature, that I am going to now begin the germination process and crossbreeding the two plants. And I'm going to get basically one of four scenarios out of this. I am going to get, for example, on this one here that I'm pointing at, I'm going to get another red rose. I also have a possibility of getting another dandelion. I have, hopefully, and this is what I'm hoping for, the possibility of crossing, you know, those two to get something completely different, or number four, weeds, and we'll cover that in a second. So we'll leave that to basically be and do its thing. I want to show you now a greenhouse that I set up, and granted, this might be a bit much as you look at, you know, the greenhouse that I built. I am, number one, first thing to consider is I'm 110 blocks up from bedrock. So the higher up that I am, as you can see, I'm basically up here in Extreme Hills biome. The higher up I am, the better the air quality, and that's going to be critical for many, many, many plants. Another thing, again, as I mentioned, I'm in Extreme Hills, to consider is not very far from me is a jungle biome, and that's another thing that I've also heard is a better way to go, because some of the better plants are going to be harder to do here in Extreme Hills versus jungle. And again, you know, not to sound like a broken record, but I've been at this for about a week as of the date that I'm uploading this. So if you're watching this later, I'm certain that I've obviously, you know, grown a little more, I guess you can say, advanced by that time, and maybe I'll obviously, you know, follow up with maybe additional video, just depending on what you guys, you know, feel and think on the feedback. So as you can see here within this greenhouse, what I've simply done, the flooring, first of all, there's no you know, dirt on the floor. It's either the wood planks or basalt bricks, and I did that obviously for a couple of different reasons. Number one, weeds, to eliminate the possibility of weeds kind of infesting the system. You'll see the crop matrons as well too, and I'm going to, you know, talk about them in a quick second, and of course, you know, how to basically kind of get this going and the configuration that I've used. So here is you take a look at an Aurelia plant that's already 100% mature, okay, and a Faru plant that's already 100% mature. By the way, the system that I'm using is here. I'm using a 3x3 block system of dirt, and again, you'll see that I'm one block up from the ground rather. And the reason for this is, well, I can't trample my own plants, and that was the reason why I also kind of recommended, you know, doing something similar there in that water pond there, because if you put them on the ground here as an example, the odds and chances of me, you know, walking over them even by mistake is very, very high. So if you've got some harder to, you know, to plant stuff like Faru and like Aurelia and like some of these like hot plants that you see here, if you trample them, you may not get a seed pack. Here's what, of course, you know, seed packs, this is what I'm talking about with seed packs, in case you didn't know. And these have all been analyzed through the crop analyzer as well too. Again, cover all this in just a hot little second, but as a setup, as a fundamental, make certain that number one, you have one block up from the ground, you know, for the reason of, again, you yourself or any, you know, mob, friendly or otherwise, don't trample them. That's hence the reason, you know, for the greenhouse, the lights, you know, to lessen the chance of hostile mobs spawning in here, because I'm so high up. The odds of any even friendly mobs even coming inside is lessened. So the only chance of me doing something is me, myself, or any of my buddies that are, of course, on the server goofing around and of course trolling me. So hope that doesn't happen. But you know, again, it's if you've ever done it and you trampled your own plants, then you know how frustrating it can be. In this case, Faru and Aurelia need to have this configuration to successfully mature like this. So you got to have a gold and an iron ore down below, as you can see here through the glass cover. Must be, of course, you know, obviously dirt, then the gold, then the iron right below it, and it's the ore, not the blocks themselves. So pretty simple to do. Otherwise, the rest of these, you know, on these other 5 remaining stations are all 3 total blocks of dirt. Again, the cocoa, for example, must have the dirt down below. You don't want to chance it, guys. Once again, if you want to have success, this is what I've done to obviously ensure that I'm as problem and worry free as I possibly can. The crop matrons, it is optional. I wouldn't say that they're a must have, but they definitely are very helpful. You will notice that they need to be powered. What I do have down below, about 8 blocks down, is an infinite loop of some Geo Thermal Generators. They don't need a lot of power. They are low voltage, so that is kind of cool. They don't need a lot of power, but you'll notice in every one of these, the 4 crop matrons that I do have, I don't use any Weed X. I've got the hydration cells, the fertilizer, and these are great for maintaining, so I can be basically away, and I don't have to keep such a close eye on them. But I will say this: if I, for example, just happen to put down the crops to crossbreed, and I did not have this as an example, as you can see, it's the beginning of yet another either Faru plant, Aurelia, or maybe even possibly coffee. The first couple stages, they all look alike. If I just planted them and walked away, if I was to basically simply do this as an example and walk away, the chances of me basically coming back and finding weeds here, or a weed here as an example, or even possibly, depending on how far along I was gone, having this entire station go away and eaten away because of weeds, is incredibly high. So don't chance it. In other words, I'm going to go ahead and take this down because I do not want to obviously have issues with weeds, at least not the good kind. But with that said, you want to obviously stay alive and active in the server and in the chunk. And what I mean by that is, do not use a world anchor to do this, because again, the chances of you having a weed is going to be very high. But keep an eye on it. These higher tier plants, as an example, they can literally take a couple of hours for them to even start. Keep an eye on it. If obviously a weed sprouts, punch it and obviously replant another crop on top of it. But yeah, just don't plant and then run away to do homework or watch the kids or whatever it is you got to do in your busy lives, go to work or whatever the case may be. Just again, keep an eye on it. If you're watching TV or you're surfing the internet or doing whatever you're doing, just definitely keep an eye on it, because you're not gonna for example get there is no guarantee that you're gonna get hops or stickweed, as an example that you see here, with any certainty by planting anything. You'll see that again in the center. What I've done in this system is the parent plants are in the center, so then the corners, that corner, are the crossbred. So I've got a hops here, a hops there, obviously, but I've got a pumpkin, and on this side I've got just regular sugarcane, or reeds rather, with a stickweed, which this stickweed is a parent. The chances of you obviously putting 2 stickweeds together and getting another stickweed, obviously very high, but it can happen that you get a different plant. So patience is definitely of a virtue. If you're anything like myself, I tend to be very impatient on things, but this has really kind of calmed me down. With with the introduction of course the plants into my gameplay. Because again, I can go downstairs and build machines and tinker around and do other things and make quarries and whatnot, which is cool. But once you've got a couple machines making you some EMC, of course that's how I was able to obviously put all this stuff together and what have you. And the place looks great. I'm sure hopefully you'll agree. But you might want to obviously plan ahead. And by that, here's what I mean. I've got a chest here that has tons of crops, because you're going to break them, you're going to lose them, or whatever the case may be. So have them set aside. I've got signs obviously for labeling purposes. Here in this chest, I'm going to have hydration cells. I have a machine that's producing these. Weed X. I did make Weed X, but I don't use it. One cool thing, however, I will say is if you've got an alchemical chest with a talisman of repair and you've used half of this bottle of Weed X, it will fill it back up. So that is kind of one cool thing, but stay away from Weed X. It does more harm than good. And what I mean by that is it will harm the stats here. As I pull up this gold chest, you see how the let me pull up. There we go. Here's this reed seeds, for example, has a growth rate of 5, a gain of 0, and a resistance of 2. If I use Weed X, for example, on a plant like this, I kill the stats. The growth would probably go down to 4 or 3, so it wouldn't grow as fast. So if you stay on top of it, it does, again, more harm than good. In this chest, I've got fertilizer already prepared, and of course I've got a machine that's going to automatically do these for me, and a couple of other things. I actually did try with a Harvest Goddess band and a pedestal in here. Doesn't work. So yeah, I'll just save you the frustration now. And in this chest, this final chest, I've got basically the hardest to find stuff, the stuff that basically you can only get through crossbreeding: Venemelia, stickweed, blackthorn, hops, etc. I've got those seeds placed separately as well too. But for success, once again, take a look at my setup. You got a water source in the center around this dirt donut. A glowstone in the center for for light, because again, a good half of these plants actually do require a good light source, and there's another good handful of them that do also need high quality air as well too. Hence the reason why here in my greenhouse you can see I've got ventilation holes on the very roof and on the sides as well too. The greenhouse is basically designed with the interdiction torches to keep away, once again, hostile mobs from spawning in here, and just anyone or anything just basically trampling these by accident, because it does take time. You will need to have some patience, with growing any one of these plants that are in here, whether it's vanilla or any one of the Tekkit only, redstone powered redstone powered plants. So if I come back to the original little 2x2 that I have here, here's weeds already in my system. So don't like this. How do I know it's a weed? Well, the color gives it away, but also if you look at it like the stairs are going up, yeah, not good. Punch it, recross it, and just hope for the best. It happens. So this is basically, again, an example of how to get started, on what is required to kind of get you going. Take a look at, of course, the items I have in my hotbar, which are items that you're gonna usually have access to, such as roses, the dandelions, sugar cane seeds, pumpkin seeds. You may want to have a couple of these, for example, in there to start in a configuration like that, and just kind of get it going. You don't have to actually put it in the water; just have a water source nearby. Now, as you get going and you start to replant, I'll show you one example before we get going. In another tip, again, for success, as I put down a crop down here, I'm going to put down that rose packet that you saw earlier in here, right? Roses, here we go. Roses is gonna, for sure, that rose is gonna grow, unless of course I just stay away from it far long enough, and I don't keep an eye on it. Let me get that hydration cell down in here. I know what you're thinking, because there's a water source nearby. Maybe it's a placebo thing. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I've just had less of an issue when I, of course, do that exact same setup that I just did. Plant it with the crops, with the seed packet, fertilize it, and then add hydration. Now that is obviously a baby rose plant as it's growing, right? This is a fully matured Aurelia plant. If I was to actually really risk it and put down my cross here, because now again I'm crossing rose with Aurelia, if I walk away, I've got a really good chance that I'm gonna, when I come back in a few moments or so, I'm gonna come back to weeds. This is the reason why it's important that you stay live and logged in within within the chunk, just to keep an eye on it, specifically for that reason. Because if I get one weed and I stay away long enough, this entire station goes down with it. And you know what? This is the only Aurelia plant that I've got. This is the only Faru plant that I've got, and this, ironically, is just a brand new Faru cross that I just recently was given. So yeah, if they go away, I'm I don't have seed packs on them, and I'd be screwed. But this is basically an idea to kind of get you guys started and set up. Hope you guys enjoyed and picked up a couple different things. If there's anything that you guys want to ask, or learn a little bit more about, maybe you want to see in a future video, what have you, this setup that you see before you, I can grow anything here, again, because remember, the Faru and the Aurelia do need to have a gold and an iron ore down below. Light quality is good, air quality is good. The only thing I can't grow is red wheat, and that requires a lower light source, between 5 and 10, and redstone torches are perfect because they're right at 7, as an example. So and I actually do have, down in the basement below, I actually have 2 of these pods that are I'm trying to grow red wheat as we speak right now, but I may cover that in a future video. But anyways, guys, I just, like I said, kind of give you some general tips to, and thoughts and some basics on how to get started and how to get going. So, to increase your success rate. If there's anything further, please leave it down below. Love to hear your feedback. All right, guys, happy crafting.